Hi everyone, welcome back to Sprayed to Pixels. Thanks for coming. Thanks for checking me out. Anyways, I before we get started, I wanted to go over something I recalled last time I was recording it, and it was uh, not an incident, but it was I guess a statement someone made towards me regarding what they thought that I did. So basically a rumor. I felt like it was a rumor. So it goes a little bit like this. This person made this accusation that I had left the hood because I was scared of the tough guy graph guys that started. Because to me, graph guys were always tough, but I guess it was a new breed, like the LA style tag banger mentality. And he kind of made the accusation that I left San Jose because of them. And I thought that was interesting because I was like, well, no, there was many factors why I left. It's interesting you pegged that onto me. So I thought that was I wanted to address that because I think I mentioned that before, like all these different reasons I left, and then from police to gangs to my household. I call it my hostile household, and lack of opportunities, schooling. I could go on with my list of reasons I left. So I just thought, that's weird. This guy just put this one on me as the only reason. So I kind of wanted to address that. So I mentioned that already, and then I wanted to mention basically what this whole tough guy graffiti thing was about. Apparently this crew was jealous of us and my crew, jealous of me and my crew, because we were like the top of the tier. Like, we were considered kings of all city. We were considered like the best hand styles. We had piecers. We weren't just a tag banging crew. And we were known to stand our ground, which we did. So they decided to challenge us because I remember the conversation, and I asked them why, because we had no real issues with them. I think I only knew one of them. And so the guy that was talking to me, the leader, was like, we want to battle you because you guys are the best in San Jose. And I'm like, okay, well, we're not saying that. He's like, well, you don't have to say it. It's an unspoken word. Everybody knows you guys are the best. So we want to like challenge you. And I'm thinking to myself, well, how are you going to challenge us? Because you guys are just like, you have nothing. Like, you got two guys that have any kind of hand styles, and the rest of you guys don't do anything but are basically bullies, like you party, you don't really do anything, you don't create anything, you don't. So I didn't understand his whole thing, I was like, what are you talking about? If you're gonna battle, we're gonna do a piece against the wall, do a mural against each other, we're gonna do hand styles against each other, who could get up the most, yada yada yada. And and if you want to throw down, we throw down one-on-one, like that's how I was brought up. So I was like, so when he was like, no, we're not doing the one-on-one, we're not doing pieces, or I'll find a piecer to go against you guys. And I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, this is ridiculous. You're coming to start a issue with us, start a battle with us, but you're ill prepared. All you have is muscle. You have nothing else. You have no talent. You have no skills. You like, what is this? So I'm not going to get into depth about that, but they started to destroy our artwork and cross us out and all kinds of stuff like that. And we fought them, but we fought one-on-one, and he didn't like that. He wanted to do where they jump us. So if anyone knows anything about that, it's hard to fight 2-3 guys at the same time. So I'm from that culture where you defend your honor, you defend yourself, you defend your family, you defend your crew, you stand up for what you believe in. I don't believe in bullying people. I didn't believe in just starting trouble for no reason. There had to be an issue. They did something. There's a conflict of interest. So But they decided they were jealous and they wanted to take us down. And he thought, oh, these guys are artists, you know, they're not going to stand a chance with all my tough guys. So they challenged us, and then they just started destroying our stuff. So then we retaliated, and then it was like this back and forth, and it went on for like 6 months to maybe a year, can't remember. But the reality is, he thought that they could roll over on us, kind of like how, I'm not going to get into politics. They thought they could roll over on us in 2 weeks, and it took 6 months to 8 months before it was squashed. And when I mean squashed, people don't know this word, they basically called a truce. They called a truce. Not us, they did. So for that rumor that I left because of them, it's ridiculous. They called a truce. Once they called a truce, I saw it as a way for me. So like, oh, you know, I don't have to be involved in this stuff anymore. I don't have to be involved with this street culture drama and like this stuff that happened for no reason, just because of jealousy and envy. And I realized, you know what, I don't need to be around guys like this with this mentality. And my crew, you know, they were doing their thing, but I just realized I was already turning 20 years old. I didn't want to continue my lifestyle from my teens into my 20s. So I saw this opportunity to go, okay, the war's over. They called for a truce. I'm gonna move on now. You know, you guys could continue if you want to. The crew's your guys's. Whoever wants it, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on to go to, you know, not only know 100% where, but the reality is I just wanted to create a new future doing art and design, and I had to start the process for that. So that's how that ended. Yeah, so hopefully that whole rumor is squashed now. Anyway, some people will say to me, you don't look like someone that would actually fight or whatever, or like a graffiti guy or something. And I said, yeah, I don't dwell on that. That's my past, but it's who I was and what I was doing. And to some degrees, I'm still that guy. You know what I mean? If someone tries to assault me, I'm gonna defend myself. It's just kind of like something I brought with me, you know. But I don't walk around that way, you know. I'm level-headed, more level-headed now than I was back then. I'm more patient. I'm older, you know what I mean? Wiser. So I've learned a lot from the street culture, and I learned a lot from my parents. I learned a lot from life in general. So I feel like I'm a little more grounded than I was then. So anyways, so I'll end with that so we can start the rest of the vlog. All right, so I promised you to talk about background design and how I got into it and why I chose background design and not character design. So when I was at Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, getting my bachelor's, I noticed a trend while I was there. From the very beginning, and I didn't know this beforehand, but everyone wanted to be a character designer. Like every single one of my friends, every single person in the school felt that way. It was really rare to come across somebody that included backgrounds in their designs or their compositions. I mean, there's a few, but I noticed it made an impact to me, like how more powerful the character was when there was a background behind him. It just kind of like finished it, you know. It made it solid for me. So I really got interested in that. I thought, oh, this is pretty cool how when the character's just posing, it looks cool as a character, but when then there's a whole environment behind him, it really tells a story. And it just goes beyond the character itself, you know. It supports the character. It gives the character more life. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm like, I'm gonna look into this. So as the years progressed, when I was at art school, I started taking background design layout classes, prop design class, a character design class, a storyboarding class, a background painting class. I took all these classes because I knew that I wanted to go into animation, but I just didn't know what area. And I just kept gravitating towards backgrounds. I love painting. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm a great painter, so I really gravitated to that. But um, I just I felt like my drawing was weaker than my painting, and I wanted my drawing to become stronger or equal to my painting. So if that makes any sense, it's almost like I realized I'm a better painter than I am a draftsman, but I wanted to become a better draftsman to kind of balance myself. So I wasn't just good at one thing, I could kind of be good at both. So I focused on that and I developed my portfolio at Art Center College of Design, and I geared it all towards background design. And what that entails is I had to draw in perspective, and I had to like become a master at perspective. And let's be honest, most artists are not, and I wasn't. I took perspective classes, but it was very tedious, and I learned how to cast shadows and get reflections and all kinds of stuff. But it takes a while because you have to plan it out. But now it was a fast paced, in animation, it was fast paced. I couldn't really take my time. I couldn't spend a week on a drawing. I had to like get in there and knock it out, and make it look right and make it work with the characters for the scene. And that was stressful because I didn't have that strength very early on, but I kept growing year by year, getting better, getting faster, on the job. And so I had to learn on the job to become faster and just kind of like not spend too much time and just knock them out, because we have to ship our stuff out every week or every other week. And so you have a certain limited time, to like get your work done. And if you're struggling with perspective, it's like you either swim or you drown kind of concept. So I would put extra hours here and there to kind of like get me up to par. And I was able to have a job there for 5 or 6 years. And I learned so much in that time. But I also learned later that I kept learning as time progressed from every episode, every show I worked on, every director. Just you kind of get something new because everybody has different experiences, and then you go, oh wow, that's interesting, or I didn't think about that, or that's pretty cool. So you learn from everyone, or someone points out something that can make your drawing better, or that's something that's not working. And now when I look at stuff, I can pick up things in people's work, even my own work, even my older work. I go, oh, that's not quite right. So it's like you just keep growing as a person, as an artist, and it's an awesome job being a background designer or layout artist. It's not for the weak at heart though. it's I'm laughing because it takes a hard worker. You can't be lazy and work on that job and be a background designer. You cannot be lazy. So you have to be a hard worker. You have to be a problem solver. You have to be a team player, and you have to know perspective and design. Composition as well helps. All those things help. Anyways, so going to what you need to know before you even start a background, you need to learn perspective. And the first one you have to learn is 1 point perspective. What is 1 point perspective? Well, I have an example of a book in a book of what 1 point perspective is. And that is what 1 point perspective looks like. It's basically 1 point where all the lines radiate to, and you could create the environment using that 1 point. As time goes on, it gets more complicated. You get to 2 point, 3 point, and then like just multiple points. But that's what you'll hear that term. There's 1 point perspective backgrounds, 2 point perspective backgrounds, 3 point perspective backgrounds, and then beyond that is just odd objects in the background having their own vanishing point. But the overall thing for the background is to have that kind of established vanishing point, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. And each one has its reasons for existing. Each one has why we build those, why you create those to tell the story, how it helps with the story. 3-point creates more drama, it's more suspense. You're looking up and down. 2-point, it's something's going on, but it's not quite dramatic. You can set up a scene and something gets interesting. 1-point, it's pretty straightforward. Not much is going on. It's just simple. Something else I wanted to touch on was going back to art school. When I was in art school, like I said, everybody wanted to be a character designer. Everybody wants to design the main character. Everybody wants the work to be seen. And I got that, because I kind of wanted that myself. But then I realized there is really a lot of talent here. There's a lot of awesome character designers. And not every single one of them is going to get a job as a character designer. I was thinking that because the competition's stiff. You know what I mean? There's a lot. So, some people from my friends went into game design, some went into animation, some went into teaching, like all kinds of different things. Product design. Some ended up doing some character design either for a little while or full time, but not all of them. And I kind of wanted to get away from the 3D modeling. So I wanted to keep drawing. And because I took classes on Studio Max, and it's pulling points all day, making models. And it was cool, but I was like, I can't do this every day. It's not me. I want to keep drawing and designing. So I geared my portfolio towards background design. But again, it was a learning process, because I was like, this is what I like, this is what I enjoy. I'm going to keep doing it. Nobody else is doing it. I'll have less competition out there if I do background design, because everybody wants to do character, and there's a lot of competition. It's stiff, it's steep, it's hard. So I'm like, I'm gonna do backgrounds because there's no one else who's doing it. Who, you know what I mean? Unless they're doing development and then they do everything, props, backgrounds, characters. But they're going more into film or video games. And also I heard that work was contract work. So you work for like a year on a project and then you kind of go off and look for another job. So I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to like land a job and then stay there as long as possible. So I definitely started to study background design. I studied perspective. I started lighting, shading, all that stuff that I was learning, I was incorporating into my backgrounds. I will show you guys maybe that next time. And so I thought that was pretty cool to get all these things together, and I created a nice portfolio, and I got some compliments on my work that I was producing, and then it's like my theory. It was all theory. It worked out because I was right. There was less competition out there for that, and I got a job 4 months at a school. And I mean, some other couple guys that got jobs while they were still in school, but they were like, I'm not going to go into depth in that, but they got jobs while they were in school, and I was impressed. But I didn't have any connections or anything like that, and I wasn't like really searching either, because I was trying to really focus on my portfolio, because I wanted to be the best that I could produce. I want to be proud of the work I show. So I really focused on it. And when I took it around, I got a lot of great feedback. DreamWorks, Disney, they wanted to hire me, but then they were nervous because I had no experience. So that's a whole nother thing. So finally I got hired 4 months out of school by Klasky Csupo, who did Rugrats, Rocket Power, All Grown Up, and all that stuff. So anyways, so background design is a great career. It's hard. It's a lot of hard work, especially in the beginning. Especially if the perspective doesn't come natural to you. So my advice is learn perspective. Learn everything you can learn about perspective. Because if you could draw on perspective, you can draw anything. So going back to the whole character, a lot of character artists not liking perspective. I think there's different reasons for that. I think some either never studied it, kind of bypassed it or skipped it, and others uh, weren't interested in what's behind the character. They were more interested in the character itself and the details of the character, but not really the environment. And I think they just kind of skipped that part. So that's why they just suggest something, or it's completely blank, or the perspective looks wonky. I've seen that before. Perspective looks wonky, and you're like, something's weird, doesn't quite match up. The character in the background, there's something weird going on, and that's what it is. They just never took the time to really figure it out or learn it, and kind of just skipped it, and it shows. And my advice is, be good at everything. You know what I mean? Be good at everything, because it's just going to support itself, support you. It'll support itself and support you. Because if you're good at color, if you're good at drawing, if you're good at painting, you're good at perspective, it all comes together and you'll create some beautiful artwork. Backgrounds are important for storytelling. They set up the mood, they create atmosphere, they ground the viewer so that the viewer understands where they're at, whether it's science fiction, whether they're on top of a spaceship, inside of the spaceship, whether they're in a bedroom, a kid's bedroom, or at a bowling alley, or a pizza parlor. You set up you create the world, and then the viewer understands, oh, this is where we're at. And so it's almost like subconsciously, it's like you're not even aware as a viewer. I mean, you get it, you see it, and you take it in, but you don't really analyze it too much, because you're watching the story, you're watching the characters, or it's setting up the location, setting up the mood, so that you go, okay, this is what's going on, this is what's going to happen next. So it creates all that, energy and rhythm to the story, but you don't get caught up in the details of the background. By using environmental storytelling, you can see how you can push the story forward. You can frame characters with the backgrounds. You can design the background where it actually points to where you want the viewer's eye to go to. I'll go into that as well. So you could really just frame the world and tell a story with a lot of visual cues to help the story along, whether it's dramatic or peaceful, serene. You can create that mood all by design and composition. And that's all backgrounds. If you love video games, start paying attention to the backgrounds. Like really looking at what they designed, what it entails, like, what kind of research they did to create that, or how creative it is. Like really pay attention to that, Same thing with anime. I mean, anime goes wild. Oh, I have a recommendation for you guys if you love anime. It's old school anime. Akira, one of my favorite films. One of my favorite animes. I consider it a film. I suggest you check it out. If you have never seen it, you never heard of it, Akira, Japanese. Check it out. I'm not gonna say too much. All I'm gonna say on it is incredible design, incredible backgrounds, incredible character animation. It's just incredible. Check that out. So it's one of my favorites. So anyways, that's an amazing backgrounds. So then when you start paying attention, you realize, oh my God, there's backgrounds everywhere. There's backgrounds in freaking Warner Brother cartoons. Some are simple, some are graphic, Looney Tunes, all that stuff. Anime, animation, Family Guy. There's a style. There's different styles out there. That's another thing. I'll talk about that next time. But style for different shows, you'll have to adapt to that as well if you work on different shows. So you have to be good at styles. So I totally forgot about that one, but it's good to remember now. Anyways, so the next vlog, I'll do some perspective drawing. I'll go over 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point. And maybe you guys should have a sketchbook with you, a pencil and eraser, and a ruler. And we'll do some sketching. And you're asking why I need a ruler. I'll show you why. So, I mean, you don't need it, but it'd just be nice to have, especially if you don't have a steady hand. So I have that ready for next time. and you can draw with me. So yeah, I have some ideas about that. So I read somewhere that mentioning that less than 4% of art we see even indicates a background. So that's pretty bad. So don't be those guys. I mean, don't be those artists. You start including a background, you know? And like I said, if you're intimidated by it, just jump in there. Don't be afraid of it. You know, you might struggle in the beginning, but it'll only make you stronger. Remember that saying? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger? That's exactly the truth. So go for it. Don't be intimidated. Learn what you can. Maybe, you know, next time I'll do some lessons, you know, some perspective lessons, you know, some drawing. So if you guys want to see that, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Give me some likes, and I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you again for coming to check me out. You know, I'm really enjoying sharing my life and my world and my knowledge with you guys. So please subscribe, and I will show you more as from vlog to vlog. Thank you so much. All right, bye.